From Cali to Tally, it's time to wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source, and this is Wake Up War Chant. Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hudjavandi and Corey Clark.
Georgia, Georgia.
Wake up! Back at it, Midtown offices. WarChant.com's Wake Up War Chant. Join the family. Use the promo code WarChant30 for 30 free days of access to the ultimate Seminole sports source. Follow us on social media as well. Wake Up War Chant. It's all one word. War Chant. Corey Clark or Corey_Clark.
Right.
Aslan Hodges. Long story. You already know it. If you don't know it, stick around. Maybe I'll feel compelled to tell it in a few more days. Oh, looking at the...
You're at 3,780 followers. What were you at when you started?
Started War Chant?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't even know if I had a 3,000. I was probably like a 20, probably like 1,000.
All right, okay.
The loyal, the faithful, Seminole Knoll Nation.
Yeah, just keep going. And this year it'll be 2,000. Next year it'll be 4,000. We'll just keep growing and growing.
Spread the word. Follow. Follow me. I wanted to say like in the Tupac voice at the beginning of Hail Mary, Machiavelli CD. I am hip. I do like rap. Just don't like the rap these days. Don't like it. Sorry, but we're not going to talk about that. We got a lot to talk about, Corey. We took a day off.
We do? Okay. All right.
Had a strained shoulder, day to day. Ready to pick up the microphone again and start spitting some bars. Dude, I did not read your column about the developing news that was, I guess, can we say first reported on WarChant.com last month? The Georgia and Florida State.
Yeah, I think we said that they were in the work. They were in the talks. It was in the works. I don't know that we could say it was. We officially said it was going to happen. So it was first rumored.
All right.
On WarChant.com for sure. First report. It's fine.
First mentioned.
Mentioned. Yeah.
Rumored is like a dirty word. I don't want to put that stink on the brand.
Sure. First mentioned.
I just got back from the gym, everybody, so I'll be taking intermittent sips of my chocolate whey protein shake. Brady approved of it. Said it was a good mixture of protein to water ratio.
Man, it looks gross.
It actually tastes good, man.
All right.
It's crazy.
Okay.
I used to always have to put milk in my shake, in my post-workout shake, but I've just been putting in water because I'm broke.
Mm-hmm.
That's a joke. I'm living large, brother. And I actually like it better this way. But, yeah, so I got my cream of rice for my carbohydrates to give instant jolt to the muscles.
Right.
And then I don't even know what I'm doing. It's just what I do now.
Okay.
But, anyhow, Florida State's going to play Georgia in an intercollegiate tackle football game. 2027 and 2028, is that
I believe that's correct.
And we don't know what's going on with the LSU series. That was supposed to be 2020 and 2021, I think, where LSU was going to come to Orlando and Florida State was going to go to New Orleans. But I think that was just something that was. It's never been confirmed. But anyhow, let's focus.
It's never been confirmed, and I hope again that they don't do that.
Oh, come on, dude! New Orleans, LSU.
It's fine to do it. No, I'm saying do a home and home.
Le bon roulé.
Don't bring LSU to where? Orlando? Nonsense.
Yeah.
Bring them to Doak.
Well, it's easier to fly into Orlando.
They've been to Doak at least 2 times in my lifetime, right? I know maybe just once, but they played in Doak before.
It was like
it's
before
allowed.
Reagan, brother.
It's allowed. That was 1990. It was right with
Was
the
it 1990?
it was first Bush. There was a big brawl. It had to be 1990. It was Bobby Bowden's 200th win, I believe. It was some milestone. And at the end of the game, there was a huge brawl.
Nice.
While they were they picked Bobby Bowden up on his shoulders for his 200th win, and then they dropped him because they had to run across the field to get in the brawl with the other LSU guys. And they beat him like 42-3.
That's Florida State right there.
That's
Renegades.
how it was, man. That was
Renegades,
in the middle of the dynasty, and LSU was terrible. I don't know. It might have been Mike Archer, Curly Hallman, one of those.
Wasn't the
Jerry DiNardo. It
Yeah.
might have been. Who knows? It was somebody that couldn't coach, which kind of you could say about all of them until Saban got there.
All right,
but anyway, so LSU should come to Doak.
I haven't read your column, so I'm guessing that you're obviously a big fan of this then. The fact that we're going to return to quite possibly would it be returning? Have we ever played it between the hedges?
I'm sure the game in 65, I have to imagine, was up there. I wouldn't think that Georgia was coming down here in 65.
So you approve of this, which I've never been to Athens. Never been to Athens. Imagine this. It's going to be our
it's a great town.
By then, we'll be rolling 4 years strong on ACC Network. They'll have us set up. Do you guys have like a Landis Green?
4 years strong. It'll be like 7 years strong. Don't we start this 2019?
It'll probably take us a little time to build up.
You're talking about you and I?
Yeah.
Sure. They'll probably be our 4th year. Yeah. We'll probably be set up right there, right next to the SEC Network crew. Mm-hmm. You and me and Wes
intern Austin,
Chuck Oliver, or somebody, or Wes Durham. I would say, and I didn't even write about it. I mentioned in the column that I went to Georgia. I think most people know that and know that I grew up in Georgia, but I didn't even really get into how awesome it is just going to go to Athens. It wasn't a personal column. It's like Man, think about what they've been doing to fans, and it's not just Florida State, but it would have been cool to play Ole Miss in Doak.
Yeah.
Been cool to play Alabama in Doak.
It'd been cool to go up to Ole Miss and play in Oxford.
All that, and it used to be that way. Now I know, Florida State, obviously it's well chronicled what they did in the 80s to build the program and go on the road all the time. They did have some home and homes. They did one with USC. They did one with LSU. They did multiple ones with Auburn. They used to do that, and I get that once you join a conference, it can become harder. But at the same time, man, college football attendance keeps dwindling. As I write, beer from the fridge tastes pretty good. TVs are bigger than they've ever been. Air conditioning feels fun. It's nice. It's fun to be in AC. Yeah. You've got to give people reasons to come up to Tallahassee to watch their game other than just, hey, you went here, be loyal.
Come hang out with your friends.
Be loyal, connect. But give them a reason. Give them an event. Not just Syracuse is in town or Louisville is in town. Give them an event, a reason to come, a reason to buy season tickets. Georgia, just like I think Ole Miss would have been, just like we know Alabama would have been, like Ohio State would be, Texas, USC, those are reasons to buy season tickets. And to me, it was always short-sighted for an extra, and I know this sounds goofy, for an extra couple $1 million in the budget to just sell out a home game and to set like this year. It's ridiculous that they're playing in Jacksonville. Just ridiculous. I don't care that they probably made a couple extra $1 million. It's not good for your fans. Well, now they have one home game to cheer for, and you're having trouble selling season tickets. Now, I don't know that Boise State would have helped, but it wouldn't have hurt. Yeah. But now you're asking all these people to go to Jacksonville to watch them. Meanwhile, next year, they're not playing that in one of the other Dakota. I'm not sure which. No, Boise's in Idaho.
Correct.
It's not in the Dakota. They're not playing it in either of the Dakotas. They didn't move it. They're in their campus. They're on the blue field. Florida State should be playing Boise on their green field. And that was kind of the gist of the column is I hope this is the trend. Because for a while, obviously, the trend was, I think it was kind of started by Alabama. Let's play these neutral site games.
Get dollars.
Get dollars. Play a team not in their stadium. It's a one-off. We're not going there. They're not coming here. We're just meeting here. It's a one-off. We're always going to win because we're Alabama. We win these things anyway.
Rotat.
And we're going to make some money. And that became like the blueprint that all these other big-time schools wanted to follow. And I just think it kind of sucks. I think Michigan and Florida, it would have been cool if they had a home and home.
Alabama's abandoning it. I will say this. Yeah.
Are they not doing it anymore? No, so now Florida State is like they've taken their cue, and they're like, we're not doing that anymore either. And I just think it's really cool, number one, that your big-time fans will get to go watch their team play in Athens. I think that's neat. But more neat thing, it's going to be neat to have Georgia in Doak Campbell Stadium.
Man.
And I don't say that as a Georgia grad. I say that as a college
football
fan.
Yeah. A big brand coming to town.
Yeah.
And, the one thing people, I don't know if we fail to sort of recognize or realize is that what the football means to people who are actually from Tallahassee that don't even like football, that are in the hospitality industry or just the local business, because whatever money you're making by playing in these neutral site games, I mean, just think about, I know everyone's like, screw the hotels, they pillage us and they, bend us over or what have you. And there are so many other people here that those weekends are a huge pull for them. In 2017, with that team making a nosedive, that was a rough season.
Yeah.
And then last year did not help either. And this home schedule is not going to be that good either. It'd be really nice if these games would happen more. I will play devil's advocate somewhat, and I do appreciate the value of having teams on campus. Jacksonville's that's a good draw, though, for Florida State fans. Because, again, I mean, we've talked about it, Jerry Coots has talked about it on this show, is just the fact that Tallahassee's so tough to get to for everybody that's not in Tallahassee that, I mean, if you're from Orlando, it's got to be a much easier drive to get to Jacksonville to watch a game. Miami, I mean, just take a straight shot up 95 to get to Jacksonville to watch them. It's got to be at least maybe an hour or two shorter, I would think, to get to Jacksonville from Miami than Tallahassee. So I think in that regard, it's good. Make your campus is kind of in a far outpost almost to some aspect. So to be able to go somewhere in the state that brings you closer to larger population sets, I think that's a good thing. But
do that then on a and I'm not against those. I don't think they're going away completely, but do that in an even year when you still got Florida and Clemson on the home schedule.
Yeah.
Don't give away a like 17. You gave away a big time. You could have a big time game in 17 at home. Instead, you played in Atlanta. 19, you could have you didn't have any big time. You have Miami, and Miami hasn't won anything since the first Lord of the Rings was out. You can't have – so on the odd years, do this. Set it up where you have if you can, have a big-time home game. Have a different home game. Yeah. Have a USC, a Texas A&M.
Oklahoma come back.
LSU, Nebraska, anyone, Michigan. Try to work that out, man. I just think I get what you're saying, and Jacksonville's not terrible for Florida State fans. A majority of them don't, or a good portion of them don't live in the city. But at the same time, you also just mentioned how big these games are to the local economy. True. And when you move it to Jacksonville, you're not thinking about the local economy. So, which is it? But anyway, I just think that I'm glad we're getting back to that. This used to happen a lot. This is how Florida State was built, was playing teams out of the region, out of the conference. Obviously, they weren't in a conference for a long time. And not being afraid to go on the road. And I think what happened was Jimbo would have taken Alabama at home all day. Of course he would have.
Yeah.
He didn't want to go to Alabama.
No.
Which is understandable.
Right.
Or he didn't want to go to Ole Miss. But sometimes you have to give a little to get a lot. And I think I just coined that. Is that have you ever heard that before?
I have not. We're going to mark that down, the time code on that. Brady, you might want to add that to like wiki quotations or citations. Your father just added
sometimes you have to give a little to get a lot. So there you go. So think about
that's a great transaction. You're only giving a little,
but you're getting a lot. So, and another point I made in the column that obviously I hope everyone will read and love and comment on is, we're getting an 18 playoff. It's coming sooner rather than later. You can travel. In 2028, we will be in an 18 playoff. Florida State can go to Athens and lose that game, and lose another game, and still play for the national championship.
Right.
I get it in a 14 playoff. I don't think we've had a team with 2 losses yet in one. So you're hurting yourself by playing on the road at a big-time program. Well, now that's not the case anymore. In 2028, it's going to be at least 8. Who knows? It might be 16 or 32, or it might be a March Madness with 68 teams. But we're at that point. We're going to be at that point then where all these programs can risk. It's worth the risk. Number one, you could get a huge win at Georgia, and this is assuming Georgia's still good, which that's a big assumption because they've been just good for like really small windows in their program's history. But if they're still good 7 or 8 years from now, or Florida State is back to where it should be, that should be a really big game, and it could be a really big win. Either way, it'll be fun to watch. It'll be cool. It's the novelty of it, which is neat. And college football needs to get back to that a little bit. Not these NFL sterile,
over-corporatized
stadiums that are in metropolises that don't really care that much. I know Atlanta does, but did the city of Dallas really care about Florida State and Oklahoma State? Not really. So you just get back to getting these games on college campuses and make it fun again. Make this sport fun again. Challenge yourself.
All right, I'm all for it.
That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I was really fired up about it. I think it'll be. Hopefully, I'm alive. Brady by that point will be. So
he can drive us probably, right? We can get all.
Oh, he'll be 18. I don't know if I'm going to trust him behind the wheel until I'm dead, until he's in his 50s.
Hashtag dad life.
But yeah, Brady will be 18. I joked that probably shouldn't say. Well, I'm not even going to go there. But anyway, Brady will be 18, so who knows what college he'll be at. He'll probably be starting at quarterback for one of those 2 programs.
Yeah, Shannon, get with the program. We got to start getting him involved in football. I know Dad's pushing until 9th grade. I think that's a pretty good compromise. But maybe like
we'll see we'll see how serious he really is about it in the 9th grade. I think that's when you know. So by that time, he would be a freshman quarterback. He might graduate early, like these guys, like the basketball players do, to try to get on campus early.
Okay.
So then he'll have a legitimate shot to be the starter in that game. I legitimately don't know who he'll be playing for. Obviously, I grew up a huge Florida State fan. We all know that. I live here part-time, but I also live up there part-time, and I graduated from Georgia. Now, his mom's an FSU grad, so if that might be the final straw. But right now, I mean, he's wide open between the two. It's literally 50-50.
Yeah, I think we'll win out. Good guys.
Probably. And his dad's the host of Wake Up War Chant. It'd be crazy if he went. I wouldn't be able to work at War Chant if my hotshot 5-star quarterback son signed with Georgia.
And by then, too, his mom's going to start wearing him down. He's going to be like, I just want to go live with Dad full-time now. And,
I didn't think about that. Well,
I'm just kidding,
I don't know
Shannon.
about that.
I'm just kidding. You're fantastic. Hope you like the Brady's World segment. I'm done eating my cream of rice and my protein shake, everybody, so sorry about the nibbling going on there. All right, I'm stoked.
What are the odds that you will both be working at War Chant when that first Georgia game comes around?
Better odds that we're both working at War Chant, or Willie Taggart's the head football coach at Florida State?
I feel like the odds are better where we're both here than he would be. But that could be a good thing. Like, he might turn it around. It might be, it might be USC or somewhere like that. Who knows?
Why would he go to USC? This is his dream job, man.
Well, true. Yeah, he might be in the NFL.
Probably in the NFL. coaching up.
I will say this: if he is still here in 2027, that's a really good sign. Things have turned around.
Yeah.
We're doing all right. We're doing good things here at Florida State.
Yeah. All right. I guess let's keep it with the football theme. We're going to get to Renegade Express. We're going to take your questions. We have to talk about baseball too at some point before we get to the mailbag, if you will. Let's keep it going with the football. We'll be back out at practice on Thursday morning. It'll be our final. Why shouldn't I say? I mean, yeah, we're going to go to practice Thursday. It's the final practice before the Garnet and Gold game Saturday. We'll be able to talk to Willie and selected players after practice later on Thursday morning. But before that, yesterday we were out at practice and we got to observe, which I think this might have been the shortest observation window of the Taggart era. It was only 2 periods, which comes out to about 15 minutes. Or maybe it was 3 periods.
3 periods, yeah.
Yeah, because it's 2 through 4, so it's 2, 3, and 4. Very generous of them. Observations thread is on warchant.com. And I really don't know if there's anything to share in terms of observations. I mean, they looked – I finally looked at the defense. It's crazy. All the concern I have about the defense and how they've meted out – is it meted out or meted out?
I've always said meted out, but then I also always pronounced it Hershey, Pennsylvania, and Hershey, guess it's not Hershey. So.
No, you didn't.
I did.
Come on, really?
Yeah, until like a year and a half ago. I thought it was Hershey. well documented on headlines.
You're supposed to pick up the GPA on this show,
it's bizarre.
Brother.
But I think it's meted out.
Okay, meted out. There is, I think his name is Joe Bowen, who literally coached 2 players. Like Hamsa and Amari Gaynor were being coached by him and being put through some sort of pass rush drill.
Right.
And that's not me being dismissive. I'm just telling you what I observed. Mark Snyder, meanwhile, has the quasi-defensive ends, I think.
Right.
Josh Brown, Adonis Thomas, and Leonard Warner III, who told us that he has indeed moved to defensive end. If you go and look at our video from, I think, at least a week ago or maybe even 2 weeks ago during Knoll Drill, where they usually, it's usually O lineman versus D lineman, tight end versus linebacker, receiver versus defensive back. Leonard Warner and Adonis Thomas were going up against offensive tackles. They were going up against big guys. Right. I'm like, what is this all about? So they're being coached by Mark Snyder, and then you got Odell coaching, the defensive line, I guess, interior guys, if you will. Pretty much everybody that weighs over 255 pounds.
Was Kane? Where was Kane, though? He was
Kane
with
there.
Odell, right?
He was with Odell.
Yeah,
He's with Odell. He weighs over 250 pounds.
And Janarius.
Yes.
Okay.
J-Rob. They call him J-Rob out there. So it's actually quite impressive what they've been able to do. I guess, obviously, David Kelly transitioning to a more off-the-field role despite having the on-field capability. I guess that Joe Bowen guy's the equalizer. He's rush ends or whatever. There's some teams I know that literally have, like, they'll call it bandit or whatever, and you'll see the guy's title on their website, and it'll say, associate head coach / bandits coach. It's like, bandits what? It's like he coached the bandit position, which is like an outside hybrid pass rusher. So like that guy, who I think he's a GA, is pretty much coaching, a position group by himself. Mark Snyder's got a handful of guys, and then Odell's got the rest of them. Meanwhile, it's still Harlan Barnett coaching defensive backs. It was individual drills. That's something that caught my eye, was the fact that they have got quite creative and resourceful in terms of what they have available in terms of maximizing, I guess, their coaching. And
it's time. It's an odd look when you first walk out there and you see literally it's one coach for 2 players and then another coach for 3 players on the opposite end of the field. Right. And I guess it's kind of like the thought of sending your kid to a private school where he gets like.
Yeah.
The small student-teacher ratio. You got the coach-player ratio of 2 to 1. You're going to learn a lot more if you keep. But I think that's got to be part of it. Also, we do know, and we knew that anyway. But some of the players mentioned more of a 3-4 look. So you're teaching guys maybe how to do both, how to be a rush in and how to cover in space, and all the things that a guy on the outside would do in a 3-4. Because you're going to have 4 linebackers on the field, but one of those guys will be primarily at the line of scrimmage. You know how 3-4 works, folks. You listen to this. So I think maybe that might be something to do with it too, is they're trying to get those guys ready and coach them up quicker. And it's better when it's 1-on-2 or 1-on-3 than 1-on-8. Like, you learn better if you do it. You know what I mean? I don't. Especially with somebody like Gaynor, I think they want Gaynor to be on the field. I think they want him to be a part of this defense. And try to get him up to speed. or get him to learn that specific position. I don't know. It was weird. I'll say that, but yeah, you're right. They were getting a lot of reps, and they weren't. There was, we talked last year about how there was a lot of standing around. At least we thought there was no standing around. The 15 minutes that we saw, it was a lot of reps for those linebackers on both ends of the field.
Ho part ho, I think.
Ho part ho. Yeah, exactly right.
You guys over here, and then we'll bring this over there, and then towards the end of it, Mark Snyder brought his guys into the mix with Odell, and they started doing some hands-on teaching with the entire segment, if you will. But, I mean, you got it. And Raymond Woody's still out there, obviously. Raymond Woody's coaching the remainder of the line. I mean, first team looked like it was D-Jack and DeKalen. Second team was Jaleel McRae, and then I don't even know who 44 is. And then the third group of linebackers that he was going through the drill, I'm pretty sure neither of them were scholarship players. But again, they're spread out now.
Yeah, there's got two guys that would be in the rotation that are on the opposite side of the field.
And Xavier Peters apparently is suspended, and I don't know. I think he would actually probably be with Odell anyways. I know Dennis Briggs was with Odell anyhow, but Xavier Peters, who potential breakout candidate this year or dark horse candidate, whatever you want to say, at least someone's going to be relied on to rush the passer, suspended for, I guess, a violation of team rules. He's with the team. He's not. It was suspended. He wasn't at practice today. And then Ira's astute wisdom is probably you would think he's not going to be in the Garnet and Gold game.
I would imagine that's probably the case.
Who knows? Maybe suspend him for practice this week, and then
that's not really much of a punishment, is it? But you still get to play in the game.
Be out there with your teammates, man.
No, that's not how that would work.
You gotta love ball. Any day you don't have ball in your life is a punishment, man.
Well, I know that's why you make him not play the spring game. So hopefully, whatever he did, he won't do it again. Yeah. We obviously hope it's nothing serious. It's just what they say, a violation of team rules, not a violation of the law. You hope. But we'll see. But, yeah, that could be he's the one guy at defensive end that has the juice that you want to see out of a rush end. Mm-hmm. I mean, he can really he can really move. He's really impressive athletically. So you kind of want him to be a part of the thing, part of this whole defense. So hopefully he'll be back by, this is just a 1 week, 2 week thing, and he'll be back in the fold come June, whenever they get back together.
Did you see the drill they were running with Harlan and the DBs where they were snaking through garbage pails?
Yeah.
And they were kind of holding almost a guy in front of them, and it was a really, what do you think that was? Folks, look at the video on YouTube. Subscribe to the War Chant YouTube channel as well. But basically just think about a row or just a straight column of trash cans, and basically you're zigging and zagging around them, or just kind of taking an S turn around each trash can. But in front of you is a teammate, and you're pretty much holding on to his jersey and almost kind of holding on while he trots. It wasn't like a full speed. I wonder what is that just to get used to when you have your back to the line of scrimmage? But who
maybe
moves, you're moving serpentine through these things. It's like, what receiver runs a serpentine route?
Maybe it's just keeping you, it has to do with your knee flexion.
No, you're right. There you go.
Yeah, it's just something to keep you limber and loose.
I think it's going to be. I like Harlan because I think Harlan, when this thing ever gets turned around on his watch, he'll be. I think he would be like, "You're the guy that doesn't think that I was going to be able to get this fixed." I'd be like, "Yeah, man, sorry." Like, it's all right, man. I think he'd be.
He'd take it. He'd take it pretty cool.
He'd be a funny guy about it.
He seems like a likable dude.
Yeah,
when we get to
I like him.
Yeah,
I like all the guys. I just have some concerns about what's going to happen.
Brady was impressed with Sanford Samuels Jr. or the third. Is he the third?
Third, correct.
The way
violent hands.
The way he tackled the dummy in that drill, he was really fired up about that.
Yeah,
so
violent hands there. There was something I wanted to talk about from the roundtable that's going to be going up later this week on War Chant. There was something I was going to segue to that we talked about. And this is a terrible segue because I don't even remember what I was going to talk about. So I'm going to talk about baseball now. Corey.
Oh, okay, good.
Speaking of terrible,
that's a fun subject.
They fell to Jacksonville on Tuesday. They've now moved to 18-10 on the year with 26 games remaining.
6-10 in their last 16.
Not a good stretch by any means. Mike Martin was. Did you watch the post game? Let's make a trade. I'll read your column. You watch Mike Martin's post game.
I watched some of it. Yeah.
Yeah, say what you will. He realizes this thing is off the rails right now. I don't know what they can do. I think you mentioned it. It's just what can they really tip there, or what can they rely on? What can they hang their hat on at this juncture? I kind of observed, especially against Boston College, it sort of crystallized it for me, or maybe it was against one of the Florida games. Like they're like 2014 Florida State football. Like remember how I'd hear you on Seminole Headlines, Corey Clark, Irish FL, Jeff Cameron, 97.9 ESPN Radio, podcast also. Birch Orthodontics, Spirit.
Get those in there.
We went to Spirit for the Gonzaga game. My buddy was in town.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it packed? Was there a lot of people there watching that?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It wasn't too overwhelming,
right?
But it had a little good buzz. And you'd always mention like, yeah, I know Jameis has turned the ball over, but that doesn't mean they have to let him score every time.
Right.
It was like he would put them in he put the defense in a bad spot. But instead of like coming out there and bowing up, the defense would be like, man, all right.
Yeah. We'll start trying.
We're supposed to, I mean, they only got 46 yards to go. Like, what are we supposed to stop that? We can't do that. It's when they make their error, when they kick the ball, when they get a bad strike three call on the leadoff hitter, just the small little setbacks always seem to snowball. And then this team just can't get a spark anywhere. Offensively, defensively, and then that's what has you clinging to a 2-0 lead against JU and then slowly losing it. And then, I mean, the 11th inning, it was just they put on a clinic. I mean, they put on like a Mike Martin 1992 small ball clinic on Florida State. They had leadoff double, guy shows bunt, everybody cheats in. Last second, he pulls, he's showing bunt, actually swings, slaps it through the right side, boom, game-winning RBI.
Yeah.
You've lost to Jacksonville University.
It's a bad loss, but again, they've scored 2 runs now in 20 innings. In their last 20 innings, they've scored 2 runs, both on one swing, a Salvatore home run, and against Boston College on a Sunday, which you can't imagine. That's a great arm you're going up against, and then a midweek Jacksonville, which you can't imagine is great arm. I mean, that's there's a lot of issues. But the offense here lately has been dreadful. It's just been dreadful. And that's not like they just can't get any clutch hits. They just can't. It's just not in their DNA right now, man. Like, they still walk a lot. They still get on base.
They lead the nation, I think, in walks.
But nobody can – they got 2 guys hitting over 260 on the team. It's just gross. Yeah. They strike out a ton. They don't have anybody that you say that guy's a difference maker at the plate. Mendoza could be, you would think, but, we're halfway through his junior year now, man. I think this is kind of what he is. I know he's in a slump, but he's just not, when he got here, we thought he was going to be the next big thing. And he's just not. He's a good player. I don't want to take that away from him. He's not in the James Ramsey, DJ Stewart. Obviously, Buster and JD are a whole other echelon, but he's not in that DJ Stewart, James Ramsey mold. He's just not up at that level. And it hurts. I mean, they don't have that guy yet. Maybe Cabell will be that guy. He's just a freshman. Maybe DeSadas. I say DeSadas, obviously. You say DeSadas. He could be that. I mean, I'm really impressed with him. I think he's going to be really good. But it's hard when you got so many guys that are freshmen that you count on. And you can't field. That's another thing that really hurts. And also, the thing that was concerning, not concerning. Mike Martin knows what he's doing. He's been doing it forever. But what was bizarre about that postgame to me was when he mentioned Drew Parrish. He said he wanted to use Parrish right, but then he found out he'd thrown like 50 warm-up pitches.
Yeah. Well,
what is that about?
Yeah. Who
is that on? Was that on Clyde Keller, the pitching coach? When he said that publicly, was that a public reprimand of Clyde Keller? Like, don't have your guy warm up 50 times. Don't have him throw 50 warm-up pitches.
I don't even know how many warm-up pitches do people usually throw. I mean,
I would think
he's up in a hurry trying to get loose, and it's like 2 minutes later the guy's in the game. You're like, he probably threw 10, 15 pitches in that.
Yeah, maybe 20, I guess. But the first 10 are just getting your arm loose. Yeah. If he threw 50 legitimate warm-up pitches, like I'm going in the game and then didn't get in, that's like pitching 2 or 3 innings of a real game.
Well, the thing is, Tuesday is usually his bullpen session since he's Mr. Friday night. And then, obviously, Friday he didn't even make it through 2 innings.
Right.
I don't even know how many total pitches he threw, but I don't think arm fatigue was a factor. But, yeah, the fact that he admitted that, and I don't even really know how much – I don't even know if we really goaded him into that question. But I saw on the telecast, they showed Drew Parrish up in the bullpen throwing, and I'm like, what in the world is going on?
So the fact that he obviously wanted to use him and didn't perturbed him. Mm-hmm. And that was a lack of communication somewhere along the way. Maybe somebody didn't tell Parrish, hey, man, sit down. Stop.
Right.
We're going to tell you when to get up again. Well, he's on who knows. But also he complained about I'm never going to start J.C. Flowers again because then he kept having a pinch hit in the DH spot, right?
Yeah.
Get it together, guys. You know what I mean? Like that's too much experience in that dugout. I mean, the dad alone is 50 years. Yeah. The son is over 20. Clyde Keller's been around baseball forever. That's too much experience to be flummoxed by a decision to start a kid that you're going to move to center field and what that does to the lineup. And then also to have your Friday night guy warm up and not pitch because he threw 50 pitches and you don't want to use him. Right. That's, even the loss is the worst part, but that's just bizarre. Yeah. Anyway, you got to hope they turn it around. I saw Baseball America right now. They already started their bracketology.
Nice.
Florida State's the last 4 in right now, which is a crazy spot to be in. I saw that and I'm like, oh, what? And they're going to Miami, which fine. Miami's not good this year. Well, it's Florida State. You certainly can't take for granted you're going to go down there and win a series. So if they don't turn it around, it could be. You just hope it turns around. You just hope it turns around. You don't want it to be. Look, the odds are he was not going to win the final game in Omaha. If we're going to go by history, it wasn't going to happen. It's really hard to do that. You would just hope it wouldn't end with the streak coming to an end. Maybe there's some poetic justice in that like it started with him and ends with him, kind of.
Oh, God. That's a good way to look at it, though. Good job, coordination.
But also like the fact that then he could also live with the fact that it was time. You know what I mean? Maybe that would make it easier than if he got to Omaha and missed it, lost in the championship series. Like, we do need a change. Yeah, this isn't good for Florida State baseball. So maybe that's one way to look at it. But you just don't want a great record-breaking career in with a dud. But, things like that happen. Ask, who you say, Augie Jim Morris. Yeah, I mean, it happens more than it doesn't, I guess. Not many people go out on top.
So, 3 games set down in Miami, Mark Light Field against the Canes, and then Tuesday they're back at home against Florida. That'll be his last crack at the Gators.
Great. So they're on they're 6-10 in their last 16. And now all they get is 3 games in Miami and then Florida, who they haven't beaten since Brady was born.
All right, over there, Brady?
Come on, man.
Say it's fine. All right, just want to make sure. All right, with that said, I should have probably used one of those opportunities where you eloquently were talking about baseball to pull up the roundtable thing I wanted to talk about.
But you were so interested in what I was saying that you couldn't do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was it's the ship has sailed on that, but it was basically, you guys can read about it. But the 3-4 thing to me is curious because of how porous the run defense became towards the end of the year. Obviously, I know the schedule got better as well, but the fact that they could not stop the run in a 4-3, and you can probably say, well, listen, Brian Burns is really not a run stopper, which he's not. So, but that was a curious thing to me. Is like you would figure maybe they would just want to at least shore that up. At least let's figure out one thing. Let's do one thing damn good. Let's just stop the run. I mean, that's every defensive coordinator's dream, right? I don't know if going 3-4 and having Leonard Warner out there and Adonis Thomas in place of a 250-pound, 260-pound guy is going to be the cure issue. But we'll see. What do I know about football, man? All right, Renegade Express time. You ready, Corey?
Have you had that orange vanilla?
Orange vanilla Coke.
Have you had it yet?
No, I have not.
I've heard good things about it, but I don't know if I ever want to really try it. I don't think I could ever spend my own money on it.
Yeah.
If somebody just gives me a sip, I'll see what gives me a taste.
I'm a big fan of creamsicles. I think creamsicles are criminally underrated. And I imagine it's probably got to taste like an orange creamsicle.
You would think, yeah. I do like creamsicles. I hadn't had one in a long time.
No.
I also like candy, caramel apples.
I've never had one. I've never had a candied or caramel apple.
Oh, they're really good. You should try it.
I'm sure. That's what happens when you're a son of immigrants. You don't get all these cool things.
True.
All right, let's start it off with let's touch them all. We've done baseball, we've done football. Maxwell Gibbs starts us off and says, "All right, boys. Sadly, basketball season has ended. Is Cabangeli on the roster next season?" He gives us some background. ESPN's got him ranked the 31st draft prospect. Another platform had him at 34. For those who aren't aware of the amount of teams in the NBA, that would make him a fringe first-round pick. 30 NBA teams, right? 30 NBA teams.
Seems right, yeah.
I think he's gone once he goes into the NBA combine.
You saying that? Maxwell's saying that. Okay.
I wish you guys would maybe just give me a voice sample and I could try to imitate your guys' voices and ladies' voices.
Right.
I think he's gone, says Maxwell Gibbs. Once he gets to that combine, he's going to blow up. I don't think he'll climb into the lottery pick, but he'll be a first-rounder in my opinion, he says. Would love for my Miami Heat to draft him. The Heat have a great reputation for developing players, especially big men. I disagree. I think the nuanced parts of the game, I think like his hands, he's got like a little Kwame Brown in him where his hands sometimes are not soft enough, getting the ball down low and finishing in close quarters. That stuff can be improved by repetition in the college level as opposed to being in Reno or Cedar Rapids or wherever the D-League is. If he's a first-round pick and they don't keep him on the roster, I think he comes back, man. I mean, that's a little bit of wishful thinking as well, but I think he comes back.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before. I'd be surprised if he left, but not stunned. I think it's probably 65-35 he comes back. Because, again, this is a kid that the very first day of his freshman year, he told the coach that recruited him, I'm better than Jonathan Isaac. I've watched his film. Meanwhile, remember, Cabangeli was like a 0-star recruit until Florida State got on him. Then he became like a 3 or 4-star guy, but he was not heralded at all. He wasn't offered a single scholarship out of high school. He had to go to a prep school in Indiana. And got discovered there, essentially.
Really? He was in Indiana?
Yeah. I can't remember what city, but city he says there was nothing to do. Anyway, so he was a late bloomer, but he's always had a ton of confidence. And he thought when he got to Florida State that he was better than Jonathan Isaac. And he told Isaac that. He told his teammates that. He told his coaches that. And it wasn't true. He didn't have any idea really what he was talking about because he had never faced Isaac, but he realized quickly. But he's a kid that has an incredible amount of self-confidence. Really does. It's pretty remarkable. And I don't think he's going to be okay with being a fringe first-round pick. I don't think that's enough to get a kid like him to leave school. He might there is a new rule this year where you can hire an agent. It used to be if you hired an agent, you couldn't come back to school.
Right.
Well, now they have it where you can hire an agent. They can help you through the draft process, but you can pull out. If you're not hearing what you want to hear, you can still pull out and go back to school by like late May. So there might be a chance that he goes through the whole draft process and then decides, okay, I don't want to be a 26th pick, or I don't want to risk not being a first-round pick. I'm coming back to school. So, again, I also don't think, unlike many people in his situation, money should not be an issue. His uncle made a ton of it, and it's an uncle he's close with. It's not like some distant uncle. It's an uncle that essentially brought his sister over to North America. So he's close with his sister, which is Fiondu's mom. So I don't think that money is really an issue at all. I think it's a matter of Cabangeli having a lot of belief in himself that he can be a lottery pick.
He went to the Bosco Institute in Crown Point, Indiana.
There you go.
There is quite literally nothing to the east, west, or south of it. However, a little town of Chicago is 48 miles northwest of it.
In that, if the people that didn't read my story on Cabangeli, that's actually how he was discovered by Gates. Gates had heard about him from that Bosco coach. Said, hey, I got a guy. He was only like 6'7" at the time, but I got a guy that might be something. But Gates didn't want to go because that's a prep school. They would play JUCOs. And so he went and saw him in a JUCO tournament in downtown Chicago, like in the rough parts of Chicago. Yep. He wanted to see how he played against those types of kids. And obviously we all know Fiondu now. He doesn't back down from anything. He certainly didn't back down from that, and that's when Gates offered him.
Yeah. If he comes back, Maxwell, it's going to be a good year next year.
Man, if he comes back, you're looking at that's a team that could go to the Final Four. It could get bounced in the first round, maybe not even make the tournament.
No, we're past that.
But, I wouldn't think. But that's a team that really does have – it wouldn't be any worse than like Texas Tech or Auburn. It's going to have as much talent as – you just get hot at the right time. But if Cabangeli comes back, that's a big-time team.
Big_G95. Wake up, fellas. I'm back to answer Corey's attempt to clown me in my choice of sports teams last week. Well, here are my favorite teams, Mr. Clark. College football, Florida State since Charlie Ward and Warwick Dunn.
I hear you.
College basketball, Kansas Jayhawks since Rex Walters and Adonis Jordan, the beginning of my hatred towards Duke.
Sure.
NFL, the Dolphins since Dan Marino and Brian Cox. NBA, the Lakers, was brainwashed by my uncles at a young age that Magic Johnson was the best point guard ever. Fact. Major League Baseball, Cleveland Indians since Jim Thome and Albert Bell. NHL, Detroit Red Wings, I thought throwing the octopus on the ice was unique and a great stunt by the fans. As you can see, I'm well-versed in my sports.
Who is this? What's his name?
Big_G95.
Does he say where he's from?
I don't recall. and his bio does not say it. But he's been around since February 2nd, 2006, and he's only posted 107 times prior to this.
Oh, man, okay. He makes it he gets his money's worth.
When he speaks, we listen.
Right.
As you can see, I'm well versed in my sports. I truly am a fan of each team. Corey, you're still my guy, and I love you, but don't come after me like you did on the last show. Man.
Here's
Let
the
him
thing,
know, Big. Let him know.
Here's the thing, Big. I am now. I want you to respond next week in next week's Renegade Express and tell me where you're from, because your teams are all over the country. Right. But if you live in like Alabama and you don't have a pro sports team to choose from, and obviously you wouldn't care about Alabama football or Alabama basketball, I get all that. But, like, I wouldn't want my 10-year-old, because it sounds like he became fans of all these guys around the same time. Early 90s is when he kind of blossomed into a sports fan. But also sounds like he chose, like, the best program or the best team.
Well, the Dolphins.
Yeah, but the Dolphins were always in the playoffs, and they had Marino. So I wonder what maybe the Heat weren't even around back then.
The Indians?
But the mid-90s, they got to the World Series two times in 3 years. Yeah. So I wonder, like, I'm trying to have my son not be that, because he lives in Atlanta. I want him to be Atlanta-centric.
You want him to be hardened by the heartbreaking failure
I want him.
of his
It's just going to taste so much sweeter. It's going to taste so much sweeter when they finally win something in anything besides soccer. So yeah, that's what I'm curious as to where my man Big resides, or where he grew up, and how he became Florida. It sounds like maybe Florida because of Florida State and Miami. But then Cleveland and L.A. and Kansas basketball.
He also adds, P.S. Brady Clark was awesome on the last show. Get that kid more airtime. Start a new segment, Ask Brady. And I'm out, deuces.
There you go,
There's
Big.
about 6 ends he had in
We
there.
appreciate it, Big.
You got a shout-out. You got a fan club,
shout
Brady.
out, Brady. Good job, man.
Brady's on his iPad figuring out how to scheme up and,
Lord knows what he's watching.
Take down a rushing defense in a 3-4. Noel fan from South Florida. Wake up! 2 questions. 1. What will be the one big thing each of you will be focusing on with the spring game on Saturday? It can be a singular player or a position group.
Man, it's just too simple to say offensive line. It's just too simple, again, because it's not going to be – I don't think they're the starting units all on the same team.
Right.
Or what we think the starting unit will be. So, man –
rush the passer maybe? Let's see Dennis Briggs come off the edge. Let's see –
that'd be all right.
Rush the passer.
I mentioned it on the video we did. I do want to see how quick they go.
Yeah, tempo's a
I
big
do want to
deal.
see how quick they go. I want to see the tempo.
But they did that last year, though. They went fast. We're like, oh, wow, this is so crazy,
They
man.
did, but it was like fast for what we were used to. But I don't know if it was fast. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was just we were used, and again, it's going to sound like a shot. We were used to having 33 seconds after a play to kind of do what we want, dilly-dally, go to the bathroom, get a soda or something before the next play. You couldn't do that anymore. So I think it was just kind of we weren't used to that, but I want to see how fast this thing goes, because that is a huge advantage when you go fast. And that's what this offense is predicated on. So let's see it. Let's see it in motion. Let's see how much faster it is than what it was even last year. And again, I've said it before, but 2nd and 12, it's hard to rush to the line of scrimmage and snap a play in 8 seconds when you're having to pick up your running back from the backfield. But as a particular player, I
want to see James check down a few times, because I know James always got his eyes downfield, and that's why I love him. But I want to, and he made a couple nice throws in 7-on-7 as we were walking out of practice on Wednesday, which we're not allowed to see, and it's supposed to be off the record, but sorry. He found Keith Gavin over the middle on a nice check down. Then he also threw a really nice, like it was I don't even know if it was really a screen or if it was more just like a 3-yard out, but he threw it so nice and accurate, like on the inside shoulder, leading him into the boundary. Then I'm like, oh, that was nice. Like those are the throws that James needs to grow and get better at, because we know he can stretch the field fantastically. Yeah. So and again, it's one practice. It was 30 seconds. It was 2 reps. But I think those are the things I would look at if you're going to try to critique James Blackman. And again, I would not be surprised. You want to talk about surprised or not surprised or shocked or whatever idiom you use to describe Cabangeli. I could see like maybe one of the backup quarterbacks having better numbers than James. And then we're going to have this whole offseason about, well, is really James going to be the man? Like, maybe we should give Nolan McDonald a look. Maybe Jordan. Like, no. I mean, I'm not dismissing those guys, but just James Blackman is the quarterback for this team. Don't get all in a rut about it if he does not have a good spring game. But I think Ira mentioned on the video that you and him and Gene did out front, I think maybe there'll be some opportunities there that they'll, maybe I don't want to say tomato can him, but they'll give him some opportunities, I think, to look good, just to build his confidence, maybe build some goodwill with the fan base, because everyone's rooting for the kid too, obviously. They know how enthusiastic and passionate he is about being at this university, but it would be helpful if he goes
well,
over and
but
has
if
a nice
he,
game.
yeah, I mean, there is a chance if he goes, 8 of 25 and throws 3 picks that, okay, Hornibrook's got a real shot here to win this. And I don't think that's going to happen. And I'm a fan of Blackman. I think he should and will be the starting quarterback. One more, I would say Laborn.
Laborn.
Is it Laborn?
Yeah.
We got confirmation of that?
Laborn. No, it's Laborn. I asked him.
It's not Laborn.
It's not Laborn. I asked him.
Laborn.
I asked his Laborn, yeah.
Laborn, that's hard. It's like labrum.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was a torn Laborn last year. Remember? He was a torn Laborn. Is that good? That's a pretty good joke.
No. Well, the
He's a torn Laborn because he was messy. We got injured.
But that's like a shoulder. Your labrum.
Well, I know it's a labrum,
but
it's a shoulder, but he was a torn Laborn.
Okay.
It's a play on words. I mean, it's not great. Look, it's late in the week.
Come on, man.
But I am interested to see what he looks like because, again, that's a guy that, from all accounts and from the 3 plays we've seen in his career, is a different dude. And if that guy can be close to 100% or 100% by September, that is a game changer. So let's see what that dude looks like.
And he mentioned on the video, which, again, you can see on our YouTube channel, War Chant TV. Subscribe to it on YouTube. It's free, folks. And this podcast, it'll get delivered to you and all that sort of stuff, or at least you'll get a notification. I asked him about it, and, I think I was also under the impression that DeAndre really blew out his knee in Atlanta against Alabama, but I guess it wasn't as bad as maybe they thought or what we were first told. But Kalen clarified it and said that he dislocated his kneecap, which is still not a good thing, obviously. Like
right.
Your patella, your kneecap. But it wasn't like a whole joint
right.
knee dislocation. And
it wasn't having to build up a ligament again. Yeah.
And his MCL, he said, like it folded on him. So I think it's the same thing with Derwin. When Derwin hurt his MCL, the option was they either could have gone and cut it and shaved it off, which would have get him back out there quicker, but it would have affected his long-term health. Or they could have, the flap or whatever they say, where they pretty much, kind of unkink it or what have you and let it heal naturally more so, which is going to take longer, but it gives you a better chance for sustained sort of durability down the line. So he wasn't saying that it was all rainbows and lollipops of rehab, but it wasn't. It could have been much worse. So
right.
I think that's what also has me excited about the fact that he could be a serious contributor come September. We'll see what he does in the spring game, but obviously I think with that news not being nearly as grave as we thought it was, that makes me feel that much more optimistic about what he can do for the team.
Yeah, he's a big dude. I mean, that's a big time talent that you want to utilize.
Second question from Noel fan from South Florida. Will be traveling up to Tally this Saturday and was looking to watch the Noles in a Final Four matchup somewhere up in God's country after the spring game. Disappointing loss, but very good season for the guys, and it shouldn't be overlooked. How far you see them heading into next season? And Corey, FSU, Georgia, 8 years. Who will you be pulling for?
A good game.
There we go.
Again, Florida State. When Florida State's better, that's better for me and my family.
Correct.
So, again, it really will depend on who Brady is playing for. Yeah. I mean, if he's the starting quarterback at Georgia, guys, you understand.
Right.
I got to cheer for Georgia.
I'll have a Corey cam set up in the press box, just focusing on you the whole time.
Man, I can't even imagine what I would be like. I'm nervous. Not nervous, but I'm like a little antsy when he's playing in these dumb 10-year-old baseball games. I can't.
They're not dumb 10-year-old
baseball.
Like
when they show those Final Four the parents of the basketball kids, when they're shooting a free throw to like tie. I'm like, I can't. How are you even watching?
Right.
How are you not throwing up? It's crazy what those parents all go through. But I guess it's awesome when you have a son that you're used to being awesome and showing up in big moments. So good for them. I won't be cheering for anyone necessarily. Just a good game, but probably Florida State.
Hey-o.
What did he say?
Don't
what was
tell
the,
his
what
friends.
Was the part before? Oh, just
and
the
then
basketball.
Basketball. How far? He said how far you see them heading into next season. I don't know if that means how far they're going to go next year, or how do you see them sizing up coming into next season. They're going to be top 5 in the ACC, I would think, again. Top 3 again,
for sure. Well, a lot of it depends on Cabin-Gully. Yeah. If we're under the the notion that he's coming back, then I would say you're top 4 in the ACC probably.
I don't know if they're going to be able to. What they did this year.
No, I don't even know what they do. Like 29 wins is crazy.
So I don't know if
13 ACC wins.
I don't think they'll be a 4 seed again. Maybe they're a 7 seed. I think like the floor for them, I think is like a 7 seed. Like Louisville, Louisville is a 7 seed, weren't they going to the tournament?
Right,
they lost the 10 seed Minnesota. I think that's almost to a certain degree. Obviously, if Cabin-Gully comes back, That's that's kind of their floor, I think. I don't know if a 4 seed is attainable again, just because, again, like other than the Gonzaga game, the last 2 games they'd lost were in Charlotte against Duke in the ACC tournament, and then in Chapel Hill against North Carolina, which was a 1 seed.
But I'm also working with the under the premise that Gray and Vassell especially are going to take big leaps.
I'm more so Trent Forrest is going to be healthy, and I think
well,
that's
that too.
huge.
I mean, we know what he is, and we know if he's healthy what that would mean. But again, you're talking about guys. You're going to have 6 guys, 5 guys really, but that have got big minutes and big games. And I know Vassell, and I guess they could call Gray a returning starter. I mean, he did start 3 NCAA tournament games. Yeah. That's kind of a big deal, and he was big in one of them, right? Or 2 of them. Maybe the second one. Didn't he hit 3 threes in the really when they needed him, when the game was still very much in doubt. So. And Vassell's just Vassell. I think Vassell can end up being a Terrence Mann by the time he's done. Better, because I think he's a naturally a better shooter and probably a better scorer. So you got a chance. Like there's no reason to put a ceiling on what next year's team can be when Kabengele comes back, because I think you got an all ACC type point guard, both ends of the floor, that can take over games.
In terms of caliber and play, he's not going to get that recognition because, like you said, his stats are not going to ever.
But he is a guy that will be that is just a very, very good college basketball player. On top of Kabengele, who would be one of the top 15 players you would think, or 20 players in the country. And then these other guys coming in. I think they be. And MJ Walker is a big deal. Get that kid to figure it out.
Let's hope so. He adds, love the show as always. Go Knowles. P.S. Mo Brady. He wanted me to do Christopher Walken voice.
Can you do Christopher Walken?
Explore the space. Mo Brady. I don't know. I can't do it.
You can't do more Brady, but Explore the Space is good.
Yeah, all right.
All right, well, that's good that Brady has some fans.
Yeah, there we go, man. Eno and somebody on the Twitter machine tweeted at us.
Yeah, that'll be good for his ego.
Shout out the guy on the Twitter machine. This is Eno. What up? Eno, I'm getting back to the thread. Eno says, good evening, fellas.
Okay.
It's actually the afternoon, smarty.
Well, late afternoon.
Question for Corey. You've managed to tap into infinite wisdom, which will give you the answer to anything you want to know. But you've narrowed it down to 3 things, of which you can only choose one. Option 1, you can ask whether or not we're alone in the universe.
Okay.
Number 2, you can actually find out what really went down on that infamous Burt Reed drop against Virginia in 2011. Complete transcripts of Jimbo's headset chatter during the play, including the actual play call and arguments with the refs.
Sure.
Or 3, you get the whereabouts of the long-lost Aslan love song cassette tape and can actually listen to it. Choose wisely, my friend. Oh, yeah, and what's your guy's favorite MC Hammer song?
Too Legit to Quit.
Mine's Pumps and a Bump.
Yeah. And he did the Addams Family song.
They do what they want to do, say what they want to say, live how they want to live, play how they want to play, dance how they want to dance, kick and they scream about Addams Family.
I mean, I don't like that. I don't like what just happened there to this show. It would be option 3. I would love. Oh, of course. I mean, are we alone in the universe? What are the odds? I was just saying that to Brady the other night because he was complaining because we were on a walk and we're looking at all the stars. And I'm like, all those are our sun. And you're telling me out of all those stars all across this universe, we're the only ones. There's no one else out there yet that's just learning to walk or crawl or something. It just seems unfathomable or unfathomable.
I think unfathomable.
Unfathomable that would be the case. There's got to be something else out there. And hey, what's going on in Roswell? What's going on in Roswell, gang? Just tell me. Let me know what's going on in Roswell. We know. I saw Independence Day. We know what's going on there. Those things are floating around in the water and the liquid.
You flat earther too, or no, man?
Not a flat earther, no. But we have proof. We have video evidence and pictures and stuff.
Yeah, I got you.
And nobody's ever. I mean, think about being a flat earther in 2019. What do you think? Number one, it's crazy that there's a term for it. What do you think happens when you get to the end? You just topple over to the side and die? Yeah. Like you go up into an abyss, back into the universe? What happens? Where does the atmosphere end?
Is it like an infinity pool, kind of, and it spills off the edge, but you don't necessarily have anything.
But the edge into what? Where does the water go? And there's an atmosphere. So do you burn up as you fall out of the atmosphere? So I don't know if flat earthers have really thought it through.
Do we have a couple guys on the message board that passionately, sincerely, I guess, advocate on behalf of that being a valid theory?
There's no way. There's no way they do that. I think they're doing it to be hipster and ironic, maybe.
I don't know. These guys they've fought the fight for a
but
while.
yeah, I would say 3 because that's I want to hear what it sounded like. I just want to hear
what. Terrible. Georgia Knowles.
What was the name of the song?
Pardon?
What was the name of the song?
I don't know. It's like, I'll do that, or like, I would do that. I don't know. You're making me awkward.
I would do anything for love,
yeah, pretty
but
much.
I won't do that.
Pretty much, man. By the way, shout out to Mick Jagger. I think he's undergoing a heart procedure or something.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
And he's, as everyone knows, he's a big listener.
Yeah. Bobby Cox, too, man.
I know. Stroke. Yeah. Well, apparently a stroke.
Wake up, Bobby. Hope you're feeling all right, man. Georgia Knowles, 86. Wake up. What are your guys' thoughts about them moving Leonard Warner from linebacker to defensive end? Do you think a change like this shows we don't have the talent at defensive end that we truly need this upcoming season?
Yes. I mean, that's the long and short of it, right?
Or is it the fact that the way the coaching is, they don't have enough coaches on the defensive side, so they have to move guys around so that there's
I
think
they need bodies, especially when what do you have, 4 scholarship defensive ends on the roster, and one of them just got suspended, so you need bodies. But also, I don't know that it's an overly talented group. So you need. I think more than anything, it's just that it shows where the depth is on that at that position group. You got to move people around. You got to. You got three legitimate defensive ends on your roster right now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not sold on any of those guys. There's none of those defensive ends. You're like, yep, he's legitimate.
Well, Peters or Briggs or
no, Peters maybe, but he's not on the roster. But
he's not even. He's not proven. I mean, you hope.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You're not sold on any of them.
Yeah. I mean, Josh Brown, Adonis Thomas, and Leonard Warner were working with Mark Schneider. Adonis Thomas, I mean, this is his 5th year here. Kind of still floating around trying to find a foothold somewhere. Josh Brown, I think Josh Brown's close to being a 5th year. I mean, I feel like he's been here for almost 5 years. Poor kid. I mean, he had a big sleeve on his leg with a pretty obtrusive brace that was, pretty much like a little bit above his ankle all the way to, above his knee. It was large. I mean, I know that the offensive linemen, defensive linemen wear those preventative braces, but
right.
This looked like more one of, it was more than that. It was much larger. So, I mean, those are the guys that Mark Snyder's trying to develop into some semblance of a pass rush.
Right.
I mean, that's a tough ask.
It's not ideal. Maybe one of them takes a giant leap and it becomes a legitimate pass rush.
He also asked, what are your thoughts on Malachi Weidman? Do you think he will commit to FSU? He is a 2-sport athlete, football and basketball. How much could he contribute to the basketball team? I'm going to have to punt on this. I'm going to try to reach out to Michael Langston, and you will hear him talk and give us information in the next 2 seconds. If not, you will get the sad horn from Price is Right because I won't be able to get a hold of him. Yeah, sorry about that, Georgia Knowles 86. I do have a small consolation prize. I'm actually supposed to have a recruiting chat on YouTube live at 8 p.m. on Thursday. So I will ask Michael Langston about Malachi, and then I'll try to bring it up on the show Friday so that you get some closure. Also, shout out to the Lady Knowles. This is an edit put into the show after the fact. They took down the Gators in Gainesville 2-0. The Lady Knowles and Megan King rolling, doing what they do, the defending national champs. They're really fun to watch, folks. I'm not trying to convert you into being a softball fan, folks, but if you need someone to help pass the time until September or August, whenever the Boise State game is, start watching the softball team. They're really good. They're super fun to watch. They're like the basketball team. They're really an absolute joy. They seem to love each other. It's a different kind of bond they've got going on, and hey, they're doing really well. So great job by them. All right, let's resume.
I will say this, though, when it comes to basketball, somebody doing basketball and football, that's really hard. Really hard. It's not impossible, right, but it's really hard.
Marquez tried it for a little bit, right?
Yeah, Marquez was a legitimate basketball player. Like he was a legitimate high school recruit, got a 40-inch vertical, and he got on the court in a meaningful 60 seconds of his time at Florida State. Brady, you know what we're doing, right?
No one could probably even hear that, man.
But firm we can hear it. Dad, we can hear it, and I see your eyes glancing over there, and it's like, what's this kid doing?
Well, because you're talking, it's not knocking me off my concentration. I mean,
okay. But anyway, I would say.
You didn't say that. Nobody probably would have heard it, and you could have just gone on with your business.
I know, but I wanted you to be quiet. You understand? You understand? So yeah, I would say that basketball and football is really, really hard to do. Yeah. Charlie Ward did it, though. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Charles.
he played both sports, yeah.
That's right. Bry Guy is one. That's his name.
Bry Guy is one.
It's from Warner Robins.
Okay.
Home of Jake Fromm, right?
And Ron Simmons.
Farouk.
Yeah.
Wake up! By the way, is he still in the WWE?
A little bit, I think. Are you still in the WWE?
Me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's all.
WrestleMania is going to have females on the top of the bill for the first time
We
ever.
saw him in Atlanta. Ronda Rousey. Man, I don't know anything about wrestling. Let me preface it with that. Right. She doesn't seem real good at all the other stuff, like the talking and the acting and the speaking part.
She's not good at that.
When she was in the ring and she took her belt and threw it on the ground because she wanted to wrestle someone else at WrestleMania and not whoever they had her slated to wrestle. I don't know names. But the way she talked and the way she spoke, it's like, man, it had like a middle school feel to it, the way she was trying to act. But I know she's new at it, new to it. But hopefully she's going to continue to get better at that because that was noticeable how not great she was at that. But also it makes it the guys and the women that are good at it, it makes you appreciate them so much more.
Kind of like me on this show.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Just want to say, Clarkson Hudjavandi was great and should be, if not a weekly, then a monthly segment. Having an 11-year-old myself, I thought it was cool. He stole the show. You should be proud, Corey.
Oh, thank you. Man, a lot of big compliments for Brady. That's nice.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Brady just asked what was said, and I told him not to worry about it. So, again, I don't want the kid. He's already got a big enough head. I don't need to.
I have a big head, not because I'm cocky, because I just have a big head.
You do have a really big head.
Yeah.
Hats never fit.
About like 7 1/4 right now at age 10 or whatever.
It is a pumpkin.
Good grief. All right, those are the last questions. Just another reminder, get out there, folks. The Civil War is going on right now on warchant.com. Pick your side, pick your weapon, get out there and just mix it up.
What's it about?
Beautiful disaster out there. Well, there's a thread. So there's 2 threads that were great. One of them has now been locked because it became a racial battle, which is great. It was literally some guy posted a video of Auburn doing strength training and was like, man, this looks really cool. I'm very impressed. Seems like they're far further ahead than Florida State in this arena. And I guess it was from 2016, and someone's like, well, they lost like 5 games that year, champ. And then it started going to this whole thing, well, are you trying to say that Coach O's not capable because he's black? And it went like, whoa, what are we doing here? But it was great. It went to like 4 pages. And I thought it was pretty cool. We haven't seen really anything from the weight room, or the stuff they've shown from the chase is more kind of like drill oriented, like
or golf
team
shots.
Building.
They showed them taking golf shots.
Like this was stuff like, they're pushing sleds, they're running up the hills like Walter Payton, and I thought it looked pretty cool. But anyhow, I mean, that's not like I don't know.
Why don't you go do Wake Up Auburn then? Wake Up War Eagle.
Well, I'm just saying
why don't you go do Wake Up War Eagle? There's a market there, I bet, for Wake Up War Eagle. We got a rival site over there.
Wargle. And then there was the one about Ron Dugans was really solid too. Ron Dugans actually we got to talk about this one too. The Civil War is going on. Get involved. Promo code WarChant30, 30 free days. I guess
there is also a lot of rational, logical, smart discussion on the boards as well.
Again, and I think I do lose. I totally lose perspective of it. Is that we have so many subscribers.
Yeah.
And
the vast majority,
a fraction of them post.
Yeah.
And then of that fraction who does post, it's even a smaller percentage that are constantly active. And then from those that are constantly active, it's the folks that are usually trying to lead discussions into other arenas that really don't have anything to do with the topic and just get really volatile.
They have an agenda they're trying to spout over and over again. It's like our man Big G. What'd you say? He had like 100 and something posts in over a decade? Yeah. Like that's like he's posting like 9 times a year.
Yeah.
That's the normal War Chant subscriber. It's a lot of they like to read our stuff. They like to watch our stuff. And they'll peruse the message boards and just kind of laugh at it.
Yeah, read the boards. You don't necessarily have to get involved in the bloodshed, but just see what's going on around you.
What was with the Dugans?
Apparently, Dugans tweeted out, fans are like clouds. They come and go. Don't be a fan later.
Oh.
And it was the guy, Poppy Collinger's son, Osceola. And he was his comment was something like ironic. Because, again, obviously, Ron Dugans was Tallahassee native, Rickards High School alum, Florida State alum, coach at Miami for a few years. Apparently demurred last year when asked to come to Florida State, which whatever, people got to get paid and they live lives and stuff. It is a little bit ironic, though, right? That's an ironic tweet.
Yeah.
That is almost a textbook definition. And then he's done more for Florida than you ever have. Why are you going at Ron? And it's like, man, I'm not going at Ron. That devolved into like 2 or 3 threads, and it was a lovely disaster. And then the football poster came out. They showed the design of it.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, and I'm disappointed in myself, when I saw it, I'm like, this actually looks pretty cool.
Our man Tamorian Terry's on it, right?
Nope.
Oh, I thought he was one of the ones.
Nope. You got – actually, no, you're right. He is. I apologize. Sorry.
Oh, jeez.
You're right.
That's not Carlos Becker.
It is Tamorian Terry, Marvin Wilson, Stanford Samuels III, and some resemblance of Cam Akers in the background.
Okay. All right.
But the one tribe theme, I mean, and these things I'm not trying to be too overly critical. I remember in 2010, I think, the motto on the team post was like Taking Back Saturday, because there was a band called Taking Back Sunday that was somewhat popular at the time.
All right.
So there's always weird sort of things.
Right.
I remember in 2003, it was big time football, and on the poster was offensive linemen. So these things aren't, but like one tribe, like what does that mean? Like, are we, like, what do you mean one tribe? Like, have we broken up are we no longer the Seminoles, or are there some Creeks now trying to overtake the university? So I'm like, whatever, one tribe. But I looked down, I'm like, it's actually, I can see what they're trying to do here. But, man, it got hammered on Twitter. And it even got hammered on War Chant. And people are just talking about the graphics.
It did have Martin Luther King doing the chop, right? Is that somewhere on there?
I think
you can't see that as it faint.
Well, there's a city in the horizon to the left, and someone's like, "What city is that? Is that Havana?" And then someone said Winterfell, and I'm like, Lord Taggart. I'm like, what would be Lord Taggart's sigil?
What is it? Is it Charlotte?
I don't know.
Wouldn't that make sense if it was Charlotte in the background, like the Charlotte Stadium, maybe?
Because there are large, tall buildings that don't look like the Education Building, which is like the only big building.
It would be weird not to have Doak as the picture on the.
Right, but it is the shining city on the hill, though. Doak, it's on a hill.
But that's not Doak. That's not Tallahassee.
I don't think that's Tallahassee. But people were complaining that Marvin didn't have his knee pads in, so his pants look frumpy. Someone mentioned the fact that they were standing on the sod cemetery, which is disrespectful.
To who?
I don't know.
The body's buried underneath there? It's not like Emmitt Smith is underneath the ground there just because they won in 87 there.
But it's great just because, like...
It's disrespectful. I mean, I get it in a real cemetery, but, folks, it's just grass. It's grass underneath that grass.
How ironic would it... Well, they're in a little bit of a... They're in a casket, the pieces of sod. They're actually in a casket.
Sure.
Like, how crazy would it be if there was some sort of, like, poisonous strand of grass from Baton Rouge that ended up polluting our soil supply.
They should do it. One of these schools should do that one time. Like, let's poison their sod cemetery. They won't even know. It'll be the long con. It'll be like 18 years before it.
If we beat Alabama, that's what happened. Harvey
or Georgia. Georgia could do that for the hedges.
Yeah.
By the way, I do suggest that if Florida State wins in Athens in 2028, don't do the field. Go get you some of those hedges.
Oh.
Right?
Oh.
Go get you some hedges.
Yeah.
That would legitimately start a fight, like a brawl between fans. All the fans would jump out.
All the arborists in Athens?
Yeah, well, just the fans that are still there. If they saw Florida State players running towards the hedges, I mean, come on. It'd be like Georgia fans going and tackling the horse.
I was about to say it'd be cool, like Osceola speared Uga, but not like with the actual spear, but like if he hit him with something. But that like hurt him because I like Uga. Uga's adorable.
Uga's a cute little guy. Yeah. I
like do you know that CBS this morning did this long form story on Uga 5, 6, 7 years ago? He has his own hotel room at some hotel outside of Athens.
Yeah, because he's from Savannah, right? They ship him up from
he
Savannah.
He gets driven like in a limo.
Yeah, it's actually it's pretty perverse when you actually really see how he lives. Like, he's just a goofy look. He's just a dog, man.
Yeah. And people don't have clean water in Michigan. You know?
but Uga's got a limo.
Living life.
Whatever. He's important to that university.
Yeah. So get out there, folks. Get on WarChant.com. Get on the Tribal Council. Also get on the Premium Recruiting Board. There's going to be a lot of visitors, obviously, because of the spring game. Michael Lanks has got a full rundown of all that. I don't know if we're going to be back tomorrow. I mean, we probably should. This, I think, is only our second show of the week. It is spring game weekend. Maybe we'll dive into our responses on the roundtable. We can talk about them a little bit more.
Oh, okay, all right.
We'll put some. Yeah, we should put something together. Although it's Friday, no one ever listens to a Friday show because no one goes to work on Fridays. Apparently, our numbers Monday through Friday or Thursday are staggering compared to Friday. Fridays just never seem to bring the juice for whatever reason.
Well, what are you going to do?
Yeah. As I'm perusing, there's nothing else left to talk about. Corey, thanks for being here. Thanks for bringing Brady. Brady, work on some content ideas, some concepts, some things you want to talk about maybe next show, and we can do that. And we will be back at some point to do another episode of Wake Up War Chant. Thanks for listening, everybody. He's Corey Maslow.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.